I am back again today with another Polybridge 2 video looking at all of my World 6 levels and how I beat them, and giving you some tips on how you too can beat the levels in Polybridge 2's secret 6th world. Starting off then with level 6-1, Earthquake. In this level, you have to build a bridge allowing A1 to get to its flag on the right side of the level. The trick is that there's an earthquake. Your bridge has only two static joints, which are both shifted left and right by these motors. This means that if you just build a static bridge, it will get torn apart very quickly. So, in order to get around this, you need to use springs, allowing the structure of your bridge to stretch and compress as required. However, the important thing to note is that on each of your static joints you need one piece of steel to act as a solid anchor, as well as a spring. You need to do that on both sides. If you do not, your bridge will simply fall down and you will not be able to complete the level. But if you use a spring and a piece of steel to connect to each of the static joints, you can complete the level quite easily. This bridge does require a large amount of support. It does undergo a lot of stress even with those springs. So I had a large over support as well as two smaller under supports. If you do all that though, it should be a pretty easy level. Budget is not too much of an issue, and avoiding the big boat that comes through is also not a massive issue either. On to the next level, level 6-2, Canyon Carriage. In this level we have a tanker truck, which is going to hit its stopping checkpoint, and then needs to be pushed onto the right side of the level where it will hit its second checkpoint before continuing on to its flag. So in order to build this, you need to build a rolling bridge that's connected to the two wheels at the bottom of the level. You then need some springs as your propulsion mechanism, and are connected to the split joint on the left side of the level with a single piece of rope. When the split joint disconnects, the whole bridge will be pushed to the right. It might take a little tweaking in order to get your springs to push with the required amount of force to get you to reach the right side of the level, but I reckon you can do that fairly easily. And as you can see, once the truck hits its star, it will just drive off, hitting the flag at the end of the level. In my personal opinion, this is the easiest level from World 6, and so you should have no troubles beating it. The next level then, level 6-3, Parkade Elevator, requires you to have two mopeds switch places. In order to do this, you need to create an elevator on the back of this truck. You only have two roads, so you can't cheese this level. Some important things to note: both of these diamond hydraulics, which is what I am using to lift and lower my roads, have this piece of reinforcing steel in the middle of them. That then detaches once the hydraulics originally push up, and is just to add some needed support while they are compressed like this. The next most important thing of this design is the reinforcing structure. So we have a hydraulic that is attached to our roads here. What this allows is for the bridge, when it is lifted up, to remain vertical instead of sliding over to the left or the right. The last thing to note is our split joint in the middle here. This connects our roads to the joints at the base of the truck in a second place. This is because when your hydraulics contract, the entire structure no longer has the added supports of the steel in order to hold the hydraulics up. So in order to combat this, you simply have your bridge connect back up in the middle, allowing you to finish the level nicely. You will need a decent amount of tweaking in this level, but it has a fairly simple concept once you know what you're doing. You can see that our added supports drop off, our hydraulics expand, and our first moped and second mopeds are allowed to swap places. Our bridge then comes back down and snaps into place. And as you can see, the hydraulics are very wobbly. Because of that, because they are so wobbly, they do not have any strength of their own when they are this compressed, you do require that split joint in the middle of your bridge. The next level then, level 6-4, Bridgelike Motion. You have exactly one fixed joint on the left side of the level and need to have your whole bridge then come off that. You also have these weird looking pieces in the middle which actually rotate. So if you want to support your bridge off of them, you need to have something that will be able to move so that your bridge does not collapse. In order to beat this level, I have two separate bridge designs. One that is connected to the fixed joint on the left side of the level and is held up by the spinning cog on the left side, and then a second bridge on the right side of the level that is also held up by its cog, but is then also secured to the edge of the world on the right side of the level. This then allows both your bridges to move up and down dynamically as their cogs turn, without causing any stress in the middle of your bridge. In order to avoid all of the obstacles that come throughout the level, we just have the central two pieces of road be connected to a hydraulic. You do need to use some interesting ideas in order to fully support your bridge on the left and right sides of the level, as you do have these C3 and C1 boats that come through where you would normally like to have underneath supports. If we see it in action, you can see that there is a lot of give in both of the bridges. They both bounce up and down quite a lot. However, when the cars drive over them, they just seem to come together perfectly. This allows your cars to travel over the bridge without any brakes, and as you can see, this hydraulic then pulls up in order to avoid the submarines before your final car comes across. This car is then much the same again, traveling across and having just really good timing so that the two bridges come together just as it's crossing. With this level, your two main issues will be both budget and stress level, as I struggled with both of them throughout this level. However, if you're wanting to use this design, it is definitely doable, and I wish you all the best with it. The next level then, level 6-5, Edgeworks. In this level, you simply have your motorbike B travel to the right, hit its checkpoint, and come back to its flag on the left side of the level. The issue then is you have a lot of obstacles fly through the middle. This means that you cannot build any of your bridge in the middle of the level, and you cannot have it come down from above. In this solution then, I have the bridge start down below the boats and rise up to meet in the middle of the level. You use two different hydraulics to do this, which are then supported using cables and a single steel muscle. This ends up working very well, as it allows you to easily travel across in the first instance, and then have your bridge move out of the way before all the obstacles come in. The main issue to worry about is just getting the hydraulics to expand and contract the right amount. I didn't find it was too much of an issue creating supports for this bridge. The angle that you have between the boats and the wall was plenty enough to create adequate supports, making this level fairly easy to beat. I don't really have too much to say about this level. The budget wasn't really an issue, neither was the stress, so it should be a fairly easy level for you to beat. Level 6-6, Spring Loaded. In this level you have your A car reach its stopping checkpoint. You then have a hydraulic phase which you can use to propel your A car over to its flag on the right side of the level. In order to do this, I used a lot of springs, creating a sort of spring cannon that pulls the two roads that you have up and to the right, flinging your car over to its flag. With that being said, there weren't too many issues with this level. Just a lot of tweaking in order to get enough springs to propel the car far enough without having too many that the whole structure broke. If we watch this device in action, you can see that the car reaches its checkpoint and then is just flung across to reach its flag. I didn't find that this was too complicated of a level. However, it did definitely take a lot of tweaking in order to get the springs to work properly. On to the next level now, level 6-7, Get a Grip. This level I struggled with for quite some time. In it, you have all of your A obstacles go, and then you have 2 different hydraulic phases before all of your D obstacles go, as well as your truck, which must reach its flag on the right side of the level. The issue with this then is that all of the static joints you have in this level are intersected by your D obstacles. This means that by the time the D obstacles come in after your 2 hydraulic phases, you need to have nothing attached to those joints. In order to do this then, I created this design which originally is supported by those static joints. However, the bridge is then later held in place on top of these wooden blocks which get pushed down after all of your A obstacles go through the level. This was quite a difficult level, trying to get the right level of support on your wooden blocks without causing the bridge to undergo too much stress, as well as dealing with the budget limit for the level. However, once you get the general idea of the level down pat, it's not too difficult to execute. You simply want to originally hold up your bridge from these static joints, and then hold them up from the pieces of ground on the left and the right of your gap after the planes fly through the level. If we watch it in motion, we can see that we start very, very stressed to begin with, but that after all of those obstacles go, our first hydraulic phase goes, which pushes down these blocks and lifts up the left and right sides of the bridge. We then have all of our pieces that attached to the static joints disconnect before the second set of obstacles come through the level. We then have our truck go, and it just drives across this gap nicely. This for me was a very long and tedious level, as being able to support the bridge from just the box supports and on the left and the right of the bridge proved to be very difficult. However, if you use enough supports on the top of your bridge, you should be able to support everything from just these boxes on the left and the right, allowing you to beat this level quite nicely. On to level 6-8 now, how the turntables. In this level, you have your A car, which needs to hit 2 checkpoints, A1 and A2, and then its flag on the right side of the level. The only static joints you have in this level are attached to this wheel in the middle of the level, which spins around as the level progresses. In order to beat this level, I created this outer shell around the spinning wheel that looks a bit like a shrimp now that I look at it, and then used these slightly stretched springs in order to catapult the A car into this contraption. It might take some tweaking in order to get your roads to line up nicely to allow your car to both enter and exit, but once you do that, it should be a fairly simple level. As you see, the car just drives in, sort of gets stuck in the middle here for a moment, hits its second checkpoint, and then just falls down as the ball continues to rotate. Using this longer section on the exit of the turn, you're able to then propel the car up and into its flag, beating the level quite nicely. Level 6-9 then, Squeeze Through. This is probably the most satisfying level in all of Polybridge. It's very reminiscent of level 4-15, which required you to split a single bridge into 2 to allow a motorbike on the top and bottom of the level to cross over, before then rejoining in the middle of the level to allow a car through. In this level, we have an A car, which needs to drive across the top of the level. We then have 3 different hydraulic phases before we have our E van get to its flag. However, we only have 8 roads, which is exactly the number of roads you need to get A across to its checkpoint. The idea of the level then is to create some sort of system to have all 8 roads that you use for A to get down below so that E can then travel across to its flag. However, the only way to get your roads through to the bottom of the level for E to drive across them is through these small gaps in the middle here. So in order to do this, you need to have your bridge separate into 4 distinct pieces, which will then be able to fit through those gaps. This ended up being quite simple to do, although the level looks quite complicated. The left and the right side of the level is simply mirrored. So if we look at just the left side of this bridge, you can see on the very left here, we have a hydraulic which is used to rotate all of the bridge through 90 degrees, and that is just supported with some steel muscles. This rotator is then connected using the mess of steel and wood that is underneath the bridge here to the third section of road that you can see here. This will then allow that section of road to also rotate down to the bottom of the level and allow E to drive across it. On the right side of the level, we have the exact same thing happening with the rightmost road and the second the second section of road that you can see here. If we watch it in action, you can see that the A car simply drives across to its flag before our whole bridge transforms. If we slow it down, you can see that the first and third sections of the road rotate clockwise, while the second and the fourth sections of road rotate counterclockwise. You can see as they come down, when they get into place, they are completely upside down from what they were above. This then allows the E-van to drive across the bridge and reach its flag nicely. Like so. It might sound silly, but the biggest problem I had with this level was just the organization. Being able to attach the first and third sections of road together so that they can be both rotated by a single hydraulic, while also having the second and the fourth pieces of roads. While also having the second and fourth sections of road do the same thing turned out to be very difficult. But using this mess of wood and steel down the bottom, I was able to do that nicely, leading to this very, very leading to the design that I have here. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, honestly. What level is this? I don't know, I think it's level 6-9. I do the first 10 and then do this in the last 6 in another video because I'm starting to sweat. Yeah, the largest issues that you'll have with this level is the budget, but you should be able to shave enough just by changing pieces of steel into wood down the bottom here. I do think that this is one of my favorite bridges that I've ever created in Polybridge 2. I think the design is just very clean, and yeah, I was genuinely super proud of myself for being able to beat this level. Anyway, level 610, Bridge in a Box. This is another fairly interesting level that I may or may not have beaten in an unintended solution, thanks to supports on the edge of the world. In this level, you simply have to get your B car from the left side of the level over this large gap to its flag on the right. However, you have two large blocks in the sky above that come careening down at the start of the level that will break any roads or supports that you build in the middle here. As such, you're meant to build the entirety of your bridge inside this small box in the middle of the level. However, any rope or cable that you have crossing this gap is not impacted by the large blocks. What this allows you to do is simply have the middle section of the bridge be contained within the box and then have an outer section exist on the left and right sides of the level. I then simply used 4 more 90-degree rotators in order to get the outside sections of the road into place, as well as expanding the middle section of the bridge to meet them. If we watch this bridge in action, you can see the large blocks fly through the level before your hydraulic phase goes, and then all of the sections of the bridge meet nicely in order to create a continuous section of road for the car to drive over. Once you realize that rope and cable are not affected by the large blocks, this level becomes very, very easy to beat. With that being said, that's going to wrap it up for this video. We have looked at how to beat the first 10 levels of Polybridge 2's secret 6th world. In the next video, I will look over the remaining 6 levels. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.